Unai Emery's been in charge now. He's put his mark on this Aston Villa squad. And apart from a couple of blips, they've looked very solid, haven't they? And they keep on getting results. They're climbing the table. They're moving away from any sort of relegation threat. Although, again, early days, that can still change quite quickly.
Not for us.
Are you happy with what you see now, man? Are you happy with the squad balance? Are you happy with the players' performances as well individually?
100%. It's amazing. It's absolutely brilliant. There's a few things I'd still like fixing, obviously, but you have to give massive credit to Emery and what he's done to turn them around. Because sadly, because we sit in 11th right now, and that's obviously the bottom half picture, there is still that conversation of how many points away from relegation are you? We're 11 points clear of relegation. We're 3 points off 6th. That's where Villa are at. They're not in the relegation conversation. They're in the European conversation again.
Yeah.
And that is huge from the start of the season we had. We got 12, I think we had 12 points in 13 games under Gerrard. Emery's already bettered that in 7. I think we're on 15 now, or 16 points now in 7 games under Emery. It's ridiculous. That's absolutely amazing. And he's not changed the squad. He's brought in 2 players so far, and one of them's only signed today.
Well, that begs the question. I know you said Steven Gerrard was a massive handicap, but tactically, what does Unai Emery do to this Villa squad to make them more difficult to beat and easier to score goals? What has he done?
One thing that's really helped him, obviously, was bringing Boubacar Kamara back in. That's not Gerrard's fault. He picked up an injury, and actually, from all accounts, Gerrard was instrumental in getting into the club. He is absolutely phenomenal. I love watching him play football. He's so classy. He's so assured. He reads the game incredibly well. And a midfield too of him and Douglas Luiz on the kind of form they're in. There aren't many centre midfield pairings better in the league. I genuinely believe that. Along with that, there's an upturn in form for Leon Bailey. He looks much sharper, much brighter. Watkins, he's clearly backed Watkins in this window. I think selling Danny Ings is a bit of a statement of, I trust you. He's already said he doesn't expect to bring in a replacement number 9 this summer. He expects in January, he expects to wait till the end of the season because Watkins will be his striker. And he's proven that he's worth it. The defence is so much better. Tyrone Mings looks in the best form he's been in a really long time. Ezri Konsa is back to where he should be. I think no player in the Premier League has got a better take-on percentage than Ezri Konsa this season. Like, in terms of how many players have run at him and he's just dealt with it. He looks so much sharper all of a sudden. We look just more organised. We're better coached. There's fluid football. They pass the ball so much better. There's an identity, a style, a formation, consistency, and he's playing the right players. That's fundamentally one of the biggest things. You don't have to be a genius to work out where Gerrard was going wrong, and Emery saw it within a week, clearly. Because look at the results we've had. You say we've had a couple of blips. I think we've had one blip, the Stevenage game, and that's down to a really poor bit of concentration from one player and poor squad depth, and all of a sudden you bottled it. Let's be honest, that happens. It's annoying. Other than that, the only game we've lost in the league so far was to Liverpool, and even that was close. And come on, you take that, really, don't you? We look phenomenal. There's definitely business to be done. I think we need some depth in the squad because there's players leaving left, right, and centre. Obviously, Ings left. We got some money in for him, which is a bit of a shame, but understandable. Jan Bednarek's been recalled by Southampton today. That's another player gone. Sanson's gone. Gilbert's gone. It looks like Nakamba will go. So there's quite a lot of business to be done. At the moment, we've only got 2 strikers in the squad, and one of them's literally signed today. This Colombian youth international, Duran, who, by all accounts, is phenomenal. A lot of big clubs looking at him. There was a lovely message on Villa's socials today of him at Villa Park with Juan Pablo Angel doing a little video message for him about what it means to play for Aston Villa. It was brilliant. Nice. It was really, really nice to watch. But Emery will want to do business. There's some big names being linked that I'm quite excited by. And we'll just see where we end up by the end of January. But we should kick on now. We should be aiming for Europe.
I think they were slightly fortunate in this game against Southampton, which was weird because it was stopped for 9 minutes for a drone hovering over the pitch. But Dave, do you think this kind of result where they do grind out a result where it was kind of contentious, there's arguments that Southampton should have scored a goal, right?
Yeah.
But they won. They got the 3 points, Dave. Is that kind of what's making the difference now between Aston Villa and the rest and making them climb the league a little bit? That sort of extra edge, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised by it, though. We've seen Emery do this at, countless clubs. We've been on the receiving end of results as well.
This season, too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't pose the question and think, is this, have we had a bit of luck here? But you look, they did it against Leeds as well. They were arguably the worst team in that game, and they got the result just over the line. So you've got to give him a lot of credit. I think what he's done there so far is really, really good, and they could be a bit of a dark horse for Europe, really. Obviously, top four is out of the question, but if they could get Euro Conference League, it's not out of the question what he's doing there. I think what he's addressed. He's just addressed the basics as well. If you look at what he's done, obviously with the defence, Myles, they just look so much better structured. Their attacking game has got far better. They just looked so toothless before when Gerrard was in charge, and they actually look threatening now. And even against, if you look at, we were mentioning a couple of weeks ago, look at the results they've got against the big teams. They've obviously they show up. They obviously don't roll over like they did in previous regimes, and he could be up there for Manager of the Year, Emery.
It's amazing what kind of turnaround he's managed to do in this short space of time. But the squad should have been capable of this. We've got the World Cup winning goalkeeper. We've got internationals throughout the squad. There are a lot of players in that Villa squad that would improve a lot of top four teams. Let's be honest, are Newcastle's squad really that much better than Villa's? They're playing better, and Eddie Howe has got them coached better this season. But if you'd offered me both squads on paper at the start of the season, there's Bruno Guimaraes, Alexander Isak. Am I forgetting anyone that I would take in the Villa squad over who we've got currently? Almiron on current form? Other than that, no. But they're top four because they're well coached. So now Villa have got a good coach in. I'm worried about how light the squad is. But if we can bring in a few names in January, there's a few players being linked. Like Guendouzi looks like that's going to happen, which is quite interesting. There's a lot of talk of Gerard Deulofeu, who actually has been in really, really good form in Serie A. So he's also 28. I feel like Deulofeu has been around forever. I couldn't believe how young he was.
It does.
Moussa Dembele from Lyon, that looks like another likely one. There's names on the list. There's one obvious one that's on the market right now that I think we have to talk about. Villa aren't being touted for a move yet, but I'm desperate for them to move in for. Zaniolo is being made available by Roma, and it looks like he's going to go to either Spurs, Leeds, or Brighton. If Leeds and Brighton are in for Zaniolo and Villa don't put a bid in, I am going to be fuming, because that is exactly the kind of player we need. I know he's got his injury records. He's not necessarily got the best discipline record, and his goal-scoring form has dropped off since his last few injuries, but he just hasn't looked settled at Roma for quite a while. A new challenge, I would love him at Villa, because what he can do and how electric he can be, that's exactly the sort of thing we need in our squad.